Hello, and welcome to my YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a Hammond B3 organ voice to your E463 keyboard. There are 758 built-in voices in the Yamaha E463 keyboard, but you cannot add any new voices to the keyboard. You can add styles, but you can't add a new voice. Of the 745 built-in voices, 33 voices in the E463 are keyboard voices. There are 10 piano and harpsichord voices. There are 8 electric piano voices. And there are 15 organ voices. But none of these organs sound like the Hammond B3 organ, which is the organ I learned to play on as a young boy. And that's the organ I really want again. So the Hammond B3 organ is missing from all of the built-in voices in the E463. When I was 10 years old, back in 1954, I began to learn to play the organ. I'd been taking piano lessons for about 4 or 5 years. The organ I learned to play on was the famous Hammond B3 organ, and it looked like this. This box next to it, this is the speaker. This is the famous Leslie speaker. And the way it works is it takes there are 2 speakers in here, and it spins them round and round and round, and it throws the sound out. So you get this wavering tone, wah, 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 the famous Leslie speaker. So this was a B3 organ back in 1954 when I first learned to play it. There are still Hammond used B3 organs for sale. They don't make them anymore, but you can buy a used one if you've got a lot of money. Here I found one on eBay yesterday, and they want $28,700 for this Leslie speaker and a B3 Hammond organ. A lot of money for an old used organ. Over the years, the Hammond B3 became the most famous organ used in dozens of great rock and roll songs. And to this day, rock and roll bands lug the B3 organs all over the world, dragging them onto stages because they still love that sound. Here are 4 of the best-known rock songs which featured the Hammond B3 organs. I picked 4 out of several hundred. And they were Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs, A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum, Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, and Hush by Deep Purple. All of these are on YouTube. I encourage you to go and listen to them and listen to that organ, because you will be hearing the B3 Hammond organ in these recordings. Now, I can play 97 different organ voices on my E463 keyboard, and one of them is my beloved Hammond B3 organ. So instead of the 15 organ voices, I have 97. How did I do it? I plugged my E463 keyboard into my iPhone, and I launched the free GarageBand app, the new version of it. So here's specifically what I did and the steps you would need to follow to duplicate me. First, I installed GarageBand and you can put it either in your iPhone or your iPod. It's perfectly free. It runs on both of them. Either one of them will work. Next, you're going to connect your iPhone or your iPad up to your E463 keyboard, and you need one piece of hardware to do that. You need this Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. It's this little thing right here. One end plugs into your iPhone or your iPad. The other end plugs into a USB cable, and that USB cable plugs into the back of your E463. So this is how you physically connect up your iPad or your iPhone. You need to go and buy this Lightning adapter. It's made by Apple. You can go online to the Apple Store. It's around $30, $35. Next, then you need to open up GarageBand. And it's going to ask how you want to set up the first track. And I'm going to show you a video of all of this live in just a moment. So you're going to go to this section, the keyboard, and you're going to click on this More Sounds, this little white dot down here. We need to open up this. So you go click. Got ahead of myself. You go click. And when you do, this screen opens up. And with your finger, you can slide up and down, and you can select any of the 64 keyboard tracks. Pianos, clavinovas, harpsichords, organs, synthesizers, 64 of them altogether. This is all free. I selected the classic rock organ because this is where my B3 is hiding. So then you tap the next, I want to open up the organ controls, and that is this little icon right here. So once this window opens up, and we are now looking at the B3 organ on our iPad or our iPhone. So you click here, click, and your screen looks like this. So these are the drawbars. The Hammond B3 is sometimes referred to as a drawbar or organ. And you pull these in and out on the real organ. And with my fingers, I can pull these in and out. I can control how fast the speaker rotates, slow or fast. This is how I control how much click is there in the keyboard. This turns on and off the chorus, and this is how I control the amount of distortion in the keyboard. You dial this around with your fingers. So I've made a video of my iPhone where I actually set this up. So let's watch this. Here we are in GarageBand on my iPhone, and I'm going to start by starting a new song. To do that, I will tap the plus sign at the top right corner of the screen. Ready? Tap. Now it wants to know what kind of a track do I want to set up, and I can have 32 different tracks altogether. And with my finger, I just flip through here. I want keyboards, so there. Now I need to go and find that B3 organ, and that is contained in the More Sounds option. In the lower right corner of the screen, you see a round circle labeled More Sounds. That's what I'm going to tap. Ready? Tap. Here we are inside the keyboard selection, and I have 64 different kinds of keyboards. Pianos, clavinovas, organs, synthesizers. Let me just scroll through here a little bit to give you some idea of the different kinds of keyboards I have. But I want the B3 organ, and it's called the classic rock organ. So I'm going to tap that with my finger. Ready? Tap. Here we are now. We've set up this organ in one of the recording tracks in GarageBand. I want to open up the controls of this B3 organ. And to do that, I'm going to tap that little white circle with the white dots around it in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. See it? Here we go. Ready? Tap. So now I've opened up the organ controls, and we are now playing a B3 organ. Okay, and those drawbars over on the left, those are all live and active. With my finger, I can move them all up and down. So if I want a very soft sound, it would sound like this. If I want a full rich sound, I'll just open up everything. In the left side, just above the keys, you see the word rotation, and it has slow and fast, and I can toggle that back and forth from slow to fast. This is the Leslie speaker, the famous Leslie speaker, and those speakers spin around and they throw out the sound. This allows me to control how fast those Leslies rotate. For example, right now they're set up slow, and it sounds like this. But now I'll put it on fast, and it sounds like this. There's a percussion button which I can toggle on, off, second or third. This lets me control how much click is in the chorus or in the keyboard. And then there's a chorus button, and I can toggle that on and off. That gives me a thicker, richer, fuller sound. And then there's a dial called distortion. Let me start by dialing it all the way off. And I'll turn the Leslie speakers onto slow. And now with my finger, I will dial in a lot of distortion. And this is going to make it, it's kind of that growling sound that you get. So these are the controls that I have from the B3 organ. Now once again, this iPhone is connected up to my E463. So as I play the keys on my E463, they go into GarageBand on my iPhone where they are playing this B3 organ. The sound from GarageBand goes back into my E463. So coming out of the speakers on my E463 keyboard, I am going to hear this B3 organ. And as far as anyone watching me can tell, that B3 is simply inside my E463 keyboard, along with 64 other keyboards.